Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is 6.3 CW5 dividing radicals notes. Your objective, you'll be able to become more familiar or more comfortable using radicals and problems in special right triangles. So I wanted to do this video a little bit separately in an additional video just to target this stuff a little bit more because I know it's a little more challenging. Alright, so let's do a couple problems here together. So number one, when given a number and the hypotenuse, and you have to find the leg in a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle, the first thing you do is you're going to divide the hypotenuse by the square root of 2. So you have 8 divided by square root of 2. Now, we cannot have a radical in the denominator. So to get rid of the radical and manipulate the equation around a little bit, so we don't have a radical in the denominator, we multiply by that radical in the bottom, both on the bottom and on the top. So we're going to multiply by 8 times radical 2 divided by radical 2 times radical 2. So it's like multiplying by 1. It's one of those special 1 cases where you can multiply by the same thing on top and bottom of the fraction. That's like multiplying by 1. So it doesn't change the overall value. It just changes the presentation of the numbers. So 8 times radical 2 stays in the numerator. Radical 2 times radical 2 gets you 2. Then 8 divided by 2 gets you 4. So our final answer is going to be 4 radical 2. So that's our final answer, 4 radical 2. That's the value of x. That's side length. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Problem number 2. When given a number in the hypotenuse, like 8 radical 3, and you have to find the side length, which is a in this case, you first have to divide the hypotenuse by the square root of 2. So 8 radical 3 divided by radical 2. Now we still have a radical in the denominator now because of that. So to get rid of that radical in the bottom, we got to multiply both the numerator and the denominator. Numerator and denominator by radical 2. So 8 radical 3 times radical 2 gets you 8 radical 6. Because all you have to do is multiply the insides. 3 times 2 gets you 6. And radical 2 times radical 2 gets you positive 2. 8 divided by 2 gets you 4. So the answer is 4 times radical 6. That's how you do problem number 2. Problem number 3. When given a number and a hypotenuse, such as 10 times radical 3 over 3, and you have to find that side, you divide by the square root of 2. So 10 radical 3 divided by 3. Now when we divide by radical 2, we could actually just put that radical 2 directly in the bottom, and the denominator do 3 times radical 2. It's just a little simpler way to do it when you have already a fraction there. So we got that case. You then do what we did before, multiply by radical 2 on top and on bottom. 3 times radical 2 times radical 2. Well, radical 2 times radical 2 turns into 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 10 times radical 3 times radical 2 gets you 10 times radical 6. 10 divided by 6 gets you, simplified, is 5 divided by 3. And you leave the radical 6 right there on top. So 5 radical 6 over 3 is our final answer for number 3. Next up, number 4. So if we're given a 2 in a hypotenuse and we need to find that leg, we do 2 divided by radical 2. And this is always in a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. So 2 divided by radical 2, you multiply by radical 2 on top and bottom. So you get 2 radical 2 on top divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it'll be 1 times radical 2, or simply just radical 2 is our answer for number 4. Number 5. You have 4 radical 6. So you divide that by 2, or radical 2, to get the side length. 4 radical 6 times radical 2 divided by radical 2 times radical 2. Radical 2 times radical 2 gets you 2. 6 times 2, well, I didn't put 12 here because we could actually break that down a little bit further. So 6 could be broken down into 2 times 3 then times 2. Well, we have 2 of a kind. And just like you learned in Algebra 1, when you have 2 of a kind inside of a square root, you could take that pair out. So it's going to be 4 times 2, which gets you 8. And that 3 is left over. That's why we leave the 3 inside that radical. So now we have 8 over 2. 8 divided by 2 gets you 4. That's why we have an answer of 4 radical 3 for number 5. So the simplifying process is the challenging part in these problems. That is the challenging part. So hang in there. Try your best. Number 6. When given a number and hypotenuse, and you have to find the length of a leg, you divide by radical 2. So 10 divided by radical 2, that will get you this value of x. Now we gotta make that a little prettier. So we multiply by radical 2 on both bottom and top. So you have 10 radical 2 over 2. 10 divided by 2 gets you 5. So the answer is 5 radical 2. So 4 divided by radical 2. Look at that side. You multiply it all out. 4 divided by 2 gets you 2. So you have 2 radical 2. You might be noticing a little bit of a pattern here. With any of these whole numbers, all you really got to do is you take that whole number, you divide it by 2, and then you multiply it by radical 2, and that's how you're going to get your leg. If you start picking up on that. We could continue to do the longer process. Because 4 divided by 2 gets you 2. And then the radical 2, you just put times radical 2. Alright, so 9. Well, 9 divided by radical 2. We go through the process, multiply by radical 2 both on top and bottom. So you get 9 radical 2 divided by 2. And 9 over 2 is really 4.5 times radical 2, which is the same thing as 9 divided by half. And we're doing a little bit of that shortcut. But to avoid decimals, we're going to have this fraction instead. 9 times radical 2 over 2. A little sneak peek, or just a little reminder if we did it in the past. If you're given a leg, that's a little bit more crazy. When you have a fraction and a leg and you have to go to the hypotenuse. Don't worry so much. You'll be okay. Multiply the side by square root of 2. So 2 times radical 5 times radical 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10 over 5. So 2 radical 10 over 5 will be your answer. And last but not least, number 10. When given a number in the hypotenuse, you have to find the length of the leg. To do that, you divide by radical 2. So radical 10 divided by 5 divided by radical 2. You multiply it out. That doesn't seem right. 10, 2, there's 5. So there's going to be a 2 on the outside and a 5 on the inside. Alright, so you got 2 radical 5. Well, 10 broken down to 2 times 5. So 2 and 2, so I put a 2 on the outside. And there's 5 left over, so you put a 5 still in the radical. 5 times 2 gets you 10. So your final answer then will be 2 radical 5 over 10. 2 over 10 really simplifies down to 1 over 5, so technically you can have radical 5 over 5, and the most simplified form. Alright, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or come to Extra Help. I'll be happy to help you out. Alright, have yourself a good night.